Hey there, I'm Michael. Take a seat and I'll teach you how to play Inish by Matagot. Setting up the game starts with each player picking a colour and taking the 12 figures for that colour and putting them in front of them. Each of these figures is called a clan. Then shuffle up all the territories and place out one for each player. And you need to make sure that as you're placing them, they touch at least two if you've got more than two players. So for a 3-player game, we'd have to place one so it touched both this tile and this tile. So it'd go there. Then search through the yellow advantage cards for the ones that match the regions you have out. So here we have salt mine and iron mine. So we'd search through these until we find those and place them face up near the board. The rest of the cards will go in a face down stack elsewhere on the table. Randomly decide who your Bren will be and give them the Bren token. That player will then pick which of the territories will house the capital city. This is like the citadels, only bigger. This will then be placed in that territory along with a sanctuary. Then if playing with more than 2 players, the Bren then takes the Flock of Crows token and the face up side will determine the order of play. You don't need to do this for 2 players. They'll flick this, whatever way it lands. That is the way play will proceed. Then starting with the Bren, they'll choose a territory to place one of their clans in. Then the next person will go, and you keep doing this until each person has placed 2 clans. Then place near the board the Pretender, Deed and Festival tokens, along with the Citadels and Sanctuaries. The red cards are your Epic Tale cards and will need to be shuffled and placed face down in a stack on the table. The green cards, if you're not playing with 4 players, you'll need to remove all the ones with 4 in the bottom corner, and then they will be shuffled by the Bren during the turn phases. So that's the game all set up. The aim of the game isn't to be the first person to meet a win condition, it's to be the player who meets the most win conditions during the assembly phase. And I'll go through the assembly phase shortly. However, there are 3 different win conditions. The first one is to be present in 6 territories. So currently the blue player here is present in 6 territories, so they're meeting 1 win condition. The second win condition is to be chieftain over 6 clans. So currently the blue is not chieftain over any other opposing clans. However, orange here is chieftain over 5, but that's not enough to meet the win condition. However, if they had a deed token, that would then mean that they did have enough, because a deed token can act as a wild towards one of the win conditions. The other win condition relates to sanctuaries. If you are present where there are 6 or more sanctuaries, so here blue is present here, here, here and here, where there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sanctuaries. So currently blue is meeting 2 of the win conditions, the sanctuaries and the territories. And orange, with their deed token, is only meeting 1. Therefore the blue player would win. If, however, this sanctuary wasn't here, then they are each meeting 1 win condition and no one would win, unless one of the players was the Bren, which, because the capital city here, the orange player is the Bren, so they would win. The game is made up of rounds consisting of 2 phases, the assembly phase and the season phase. The assembly phase is setting up for each of the season phase. The season phases is where you do your actions, consisting of either playing a season card, where it has the Tree of Life icon, or taking a pretender marker, or passing. The assembly phase is made up of lots of different stages. Firstly, you decide who is the Bren, and that's determined by the chieftain of the capital. Then you check for if a player has won the game, going through the steps I just detailed in the aim of the game. Then each player takes advantage cards matching the territories they control. So if I was chieftain of the salt mine, I would take the salt mine card, giving me this ability. Then if you're playing with more than 2 players, you'll toss the flock of crows coin to determine which order the draft and play will happen for this round. The Bren then shuffles all the green action cards, places one to the side, and then deals for a 3 or 4 player game 4 cards, or for a 2 player game 3 cards to each player. In a 2 player game, this will mean that you have 6 cards left here. In a 3 or 4 player game, you would have no cards left, just the 1 card set aside. Each player then looks at the cards they have been given and chooses 1 to keep in front of them and 2 to pass to the other player. Each player then picks up the card that they set aside, looks at the 3 cards that they have in a 2 player game or 4 cards in a 3 or 4 player game and picks 2 to keep down in front of them, and the remaining cards pass. And you keep doing this until all the cards have been passed. Then in a 2 player game, you go back to the cards that were set aside and deal 3 to each player again. And you repeat this drafting process till each player has selected 3 more cards without putting in the 3 that they had already drafted. They'll then add these so each player has a hand of 6 cards. There are 2 types of cards players will have in their hand. Either the Triskel cards with this symbol here, which are not played as an action but as a reaction to other events, or a season card. When you play a season card, it counts as your action for the turn. After a player has taken a single action, which can be either playing a season card, taking a pretender token if they meet one of more of the win conditions, or passing. Play then passes to the next player. If all players in a round consecutively pass, then the round finishes and we go back to the next assembly phase. The cards have symbols in the top right to help you identify the type of card it is. This symbol means that it will build a building, either a sanctuary or a citadel. This one means it will allow you to move troops, and if it has the crossed swords, then may initiate a clash, and I'll speak about clashes in a moment. This one means that it places more of your clans on the board. Most of the actions are very simple and you can just follow the text on the card. However, let's talk about what happens when a clash is initiated. The first step is the Citadel step, where players are able to move their clans into citadels. So for example, in this 3-player situation here, the orange player invades from the moor into the iron mine, which initiates a clash. Then, based on the flock of crows token, whatever the play order is, the player following that from the instigator then gets to choose whether they want to put one of their clans in a citadel, and the capital does count as a citadel. Any clan in a citadel is protected from the combat and will survive it no matter what. So in this situation, green goes in and then blue puts one in. Even if there were more citadels, so if there was a 3rd citadel here, the orange player as the instigator would not be able to go into it. Then we move on to the resolution step, and this continues until the clash ends. In the resolution step, players will perform manoeuvres. Manoeuvres can either be attack a player, at which point they either lose a clan or 1 action card, withdraw, taking your units to neighbouring locations where you are chieftain, or performing manoeuvres from epic tale cards. So for example, starting with the instigator, you can either declare peace and no one loses anyone, or you can perform a manoeuvre. One of the manoeuvres is to attack. You cannot attack clans that are in citadels, so here the orange player could only attack this blue clan here. If they attack, there is nothing the blue player can do to defend. They either remove that clan from the board or discard one of their green action cards. So let's say they discarded a green action card rather than lose their man. Now, once again, we have the opportunity to declare peace if everyone agrees. If, however, the orange player says, "No, I don't want peace," then the clash continues with the blue player. They are not chieftain of any of the neighbouring locations, so they cannot withdraw, and they have no epic tail card, so their only option is to attack the orange player. The orange player has no green cards to discard, so they lose a clan member. It is then back round to orange. We now have the opportunity to declare peace or to perform a manoeuvre. They could attack blue or they could withdraw because they are chieftain of the salt mine. If they withdraw, they must remove one or more of your units from here. However, they do not have to move them all to the same location. So if they still had a person in the moor making them chieftain there, they could retreat one to there and one to there. The blue player would then have the opportunity to withdraw if they were chieftain of anywhere, or declare an end to the clash as there is no opposition. And that is how you play Inish by Matagot. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel, as well as subscribing and sharing the channel. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now!